Today, we're diving into a really fascinating divide you see within faith-based organizations. It's this tension between operating like a business versus serving as a true mission. We're going to follow the data from a big comparative analysis and see what it tells us about these two completely different approaches. And this right here is the central question we're tackling, isn't it? It kind of forces us to look past our own personal beliefs and really examine the systems people build around faith. So let's jump right in and define the two models that the source material lays out for us. Okay, first things first, we've got to get on the same page about what these two models actually are. Think of them as two opposite ends of a spectrum. Understanding them is absolutely crucial for everything that comes next. So, on one hand, you've got what the source material calls the business of religion. This approach, well, it pretty much treats faith like a marketplace. The main goal here is to leverage belief for tangible results. Things like financial profit, social clout, or just plain institutional power. And then, on the complete opposite side of the coin, you have the mission of religion. This model isn't about profit at all. It's about putting principles into practice. The focus here is all about using a faith's core values to actually serve the community through social welfare, ethical guidance, and raising spiritual awareness. And look, let's be real for a second. The amount of money we're talking about here is just mind-blowing. This number, $1.8 trillion, that's just for religious tourism. It gives you a sense of the massive economic engine at play and really shows you what's at stake when we talk about these two different models. Okay, so where's the real fork in the road for these two models? Well, it all boils down to one thing, their fundamental purpose. What is the organization really trying to do at the end of the day? And you can see it right away. The difference is night and day. The business model, it's all about financial growth, expanding its market share. But the mission model, it's focused on human growth and the well-being of the entire community. Two totally different end games. This table, this is where you really see how they're playing two totally different games. The business model keeps score by tracking donation dollars and how many eyeballs are on them. But the mission model, its scoreboard tracks how many lives have been changed for the better. It's a completely different definition of what winning even looks like. All right, so you've got these different goals, but how does that actually play out in the real world? Like, what are they doing day to day? This is where it gets really, really interesting. Let's kick things off with the business model, which, no surprise, is all about the bottom line. A perfect example is the Tirumala Tirupati Devastanams, or TTD. That number you see, over 3,500 crore rupees, that was their income in just 1 year. And how do they get to that number? Well, it's through some pretty savvy and sometimes controversial business tactics. We're talking tiered access with VIP tickets, massive sales of religious offerings, and even using fear-based marketing to push expensive remedies. And get this, the markup on so-called blessed items can be as high as 500%. Okay, now let's completely shift gears and look at the mission model. The change is, it's immediate. The focus flips entirely to providing services to as many people as possible for free. This number, over 100,000, is how many meals are served every single day at the Golden Temple's community kitchen. And it doesn't cost anyone a single rupee. And their strategies, if you want to call them that, are totally different. We're talking about things like those free community kitchens, free schools and hospitals from groups like the Ramakrishna Mission, global disaster relief from Khalsa Aid, and free meditation courses for millions of people through Vipassana centers. It's all about giving, not selling. So if you follow the money for the business model, you see it's a real mix. Sure, donations are half the pie, but look closer. A full 40% comes from purely commercial stuff, service fees, product sales, and sponsorships. But the mission model's funding? Yeah, that's a whole other story. It runs mostly on voluntary donations from people who believe in the cause, plus grants and aid that are almost always tied to very specific service projects. The money has a clear purpose. Okay, so this is really the big one, right? The multi-trillion-dollar question, what's the actual on-the-ground impact of all this? Beyond the balance sheets, who is really benefiting and how? And when you look at the data from a Pew Research study cited in the source material, well, the numbers speak for themselves. In places served mostly by mission model organizations, the quality of life metrics are just significantly higher. We're talking everything from literacy rates to healthcare access. I mean, just look at community trust. This is huge. You've got an 89% trust level for the service-oriented groups versus just 52% for the business-focused ones. That's not just a gap, that's a chasm. A 71% higher level of trust. That tells you so much about the social health of a community. And it's not just about feelings, it's about pure efficiency. How well does the money actually do what it's supposed to do? The data shows mission models are up to 4 times better at getting resources directly to the people who need them. A much bigger chunk of every dollar actually serves the mission. So with all this data staring us in the face, you might be wondering, what now? Well, the source material doesn't just point out the differences. It actually offers a roadmap for any institution that's thinking about evolving its approach. It's a pretty straightforward 3-phase plan, really. It all starts with a serious assessment and a real commitment to financial transparency. Then you restructure your services based on what the community actually needs. And finally, you use technology to scale that positive impact and reach more people. So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway? The evidence is just overwhelmingly consistent. The mission model is more efficient, way more transparent, and has a much bigger long-term impact on society. And listen to this last point. 2/3 of millennials prefer transparent organizations. That's a huge sign of where the future is headed. At the end of the day, the data lays out a stark choice. One model is really good at building institutional wealth. The other is really good at building strong, healthy communities. The data can't tell us which path will be chosen, but it makes the consequences of that choice incredibly clear.